Hey there, ever heard a story where a billionaire casino boss first chased a street artist off his doorstep, only to end up marrying her? Stick around, hit that follow button, or drop a comment below. I'm about to spill how it all went down for me. By 10 a.m., the Las Vegas sun had turned the asphalt outside the Oasis Casino into a sticky mess. I huddled in the shade of the side entrance, my back pressed against the cool marble wall, just trying to catch my breath. Clutched to my chest was a half-dried black Sharpie, its barrel worn smooth from years of use. My dad had given it to me back when I loved sketching. Now it was my only memento of him, and the only tool I had to draw out the casino's neon lights on scraps of paper when I had a free minute. My beat-up canvas sneakers were so hot they burned my toes, and my faded blue tank top clung to my back, the sweat damp parts leaving a chilly tingle. In front of me sat a crumpled paper cup with a hole in the bottom, holding 3 crumpled $1 bills, handouts from a couple of drunk tourists that morning. Nearby, the casino's revolving door spun non-stop, spilling out men in tailored suits and women dripping with diamond necklaces. Their perfume mixed with the casino's frigid AC, but by the time it reached me, it just felt like hot money-smelling air. "Move it. You're in the way." The gruff voice cut through my daze. I'd been staring at the security camera near the side door Dad had installed, that one. He always said, "These lenses catch every little thing." I looked up, first at a pair of polished black alligator skin loafers, not a speck of dust on them. Then at a charcoal gray suit, perfectly tailored, with a gold lighter peeking out of the pocket. Behind him stood 2 beefy guys in black suits, their muscles straining against the fabric total tough guys. It was Ethan Walker, owner of the Oasis Casino, the youngest self-made billionaire in Las Vegas. TV always called his life a rags to riches legend, growing up homeless to running a casino empire. But I knew better. I suspected his legend was stained with my dad's blood. I shrank back, trying to make myself as small as possible. The Sharpie dug into my ribs. Yesterday, when I'd visited Mom at the nursing home on the outskirts of town, her hands shook so bad she couldn't hold a spoon. The nurse said if I didn't scrape up money for her Parkinson's meds soon, they'd have to stop treatment. I needed to stay here. Maybe I'd run into someone who'd worked with Dad, someone who knew the truth about why he'd been framed for stealing the casino's cash. Ethan didn't leave. He stood over me, his shadow swallowing me whole. The sun was behind him, so I couldn't see his face clearly, just the custom Rolex on his wrist. The word Oasis engraved on the dial, glinting cold. "Didn't I tell you not to beg outside my casino?" His voice was colder than the desert wind at night. "You look like a mess. You'll make my guests think any bum can wander in. You're ruining my vibe." I gripped the paper cup so tight my knuckles turned white. "Mr. Walker, I'm just waiting here. I'm not bothering anyone." "Not bothering anyone?" he scoffed, pulling a leather wallet out of his suit pocket. He flipped it open, pulled out a $50 bill, and tossed it into my cup like it was trash. The green bill bounced once, covering the 3 ones. "Take it and get lost. Better yet, get out of Las Vegas entirely. This city's not for people like you." A hot gust of wind blew, sticking the bill to the side of the cup. I stared at it, then up at him. He'd straightened up, and now I could see his face, sharp nose, thin lips, a faint scar above his left eyebrow. TV said he'd gotten it fighting off a cheater back when he was a bouncer. But right now, there was no trace of that grit, just pure, unadulterated arrogance, like he was looking at a cockroach. I thought back 3 years, when Dad was still alive. He'd often take me to the casino's staff cafeteria for lunch. Once, we'd run into Ethan. He'd just taken over the Oasis, still wearing a plain button-down shirt. He'd smiled at Dad and said, "Hey Cole, your daughter's sketches of the casino are amazing. Someday I'll have her design murals for me." Now, he couldn't even let me hide from the sun for 10 minutes. "I don't want your money." I pushed the cup away and stood up slowly. One strap of my tank top slipped down my shoulder. I pulled it back up. "I'm just waiting for someone. I'll leave soon." Ethan raised an eyebrow, like he couldn't believe I'd refused. The bodyguard behind him took a step forward, but Ethan held up a hand to stop him. "Waiting for someone." He smirked, his eyes flicking to the Sharpie peeking out of my shirt. "Waiting for the guy who helped your dad steal that cash? Or waiting for some sucker to give you more handouts?" My chest tightened, like someone had punched me. How did he know about Dad? How did he know we were drowning in debt? "Don't act surprised." He pulled out his phone and held up the screen. Dad's old employee file, with a photo of him in his security uniform, grinning like an idiot. "Before your dad jumped off the roof, he came to me begging, said he didn't steal that 50 grand, that he'd been framed." Ethan paused, his voice colder. "But the cameras don't lie. They showed him walking out of the vault with the money case closed. You still think you can clear his name?" I was shaking, not from the heat, but from anger. Dad wasn't like that. He'd worked as a security supervisor for 15 years. He wouldn't even take a pen from the casino. The footage had to be faked. But this man, he was turning my dad's injustice into a joke, using it to humiliate me. Shut up! I grabbed a scrap of paper from the ground, one of my neon sketches, and swung it at him. The paper was flimsy, just crumpling when it hit his suit. But he frowned, like he'd been touched by something gross. The bodyguard grabbed my arm instantly, his grip so tight it felt like he was crushing my bones. Tears stung my eyes, but I struggled anyway. Let go of me. My dad was framed. The footage is fake Q. Know it. Ethan stepped closer, looming over me. The scar above his eyebrow stood out in the sun. Framed, he tapped my forehead with his knuckle, a light touch that felt like a slap. This is Las Vegas. There's no framed. There's only winners and losers. Your dad lost so bad he couldn't face it. And now you're losing too, begging on the street like a loser. That's reality. That's not true. I wrenched my arm free, my skin red where he'd grabbed me. Your old business partner framed him. He hated Dad for getting the supervisor job. He must have tampered with the cameras. Why won't you investigate? Ethan scoffed and turned to leave. Investigate. He glanced over his shoulder, his eyes empty. I care about keeping my casino running smoothly, not digging up dirt on a dead man. Your dad's gone. The case is closed. It's better that way for everyone. He paused, adding, take the $50 and buy a sandwich, or go scrub toilets at a gas station. Just stop wasting my time. I don't feel sorry for losers who can't move on. The wind picked up, making my eyes water. I watched him walk through the side door, the bodyguards following. The door shut behind them, sealing me out of that shiny, rich world. The paper cup tipped over, the $50 bill floating out onto the hot asphalt, curling up at the edges. I knelt down to pick it up, not because I wanted it, but because I couldn't stand the thought of it getting trampled on Dad's old turf. But when my fingers touched the warm paper, I broke down crying. Not because my arm hurt, not because I was hungry, because I felt so helpless. I'd thought if I waited outside the casino long enough, I'd find someone who knew the truth. I'd thought if I saved enough money, Mom could keep her meds. But Ethan's words had cut through all that like a knife through tissue. I don't know how long I knelt there. By the time I stood up, the sun was setting, and the casino's neon signs were flickering to life. The red mark on my arm still throbbed. I picked up my Sharpie, brushed the dirt off it, and headed toward the nursing home. The walk took an hour, and I had to pass 3 bus stops. Bus fare was $2. And all I had was the 3 ones from that morning, barely enough for a bottle of water. When I reached the nursing home, the nurse was waiting outside, her face grim. Mia, your mom refused her meds again today. Her hands are shaking worse, she said. If we don't get the money for her meds tomorrow, we can't keep treating her. I nodded and walked into Mom's room. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, clutching the pearl brooch Dad had given her. He'd saved up for 6 months to buy it, and now the pearls were yellowed. When she saw me, her eyes were unfocused. She reached out and grabbed my hand, her fingers shaking violently. Mia, where's your dad? Is he working late again? My throat tightened. I sat next to her and tucked her hand into my chest to warm it. Dad's on a business trip. Mom, he'll be home soon. Come on, let's take your meds. They'll stop your hands from shaking. She nodded and opened her mouth. I fed her the pills and handed her a glass of water. When she swallowed, I let out a breath. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her voice soft. I dreamed about your dad last night. He said he didn't do anything wrong. He told me to tell you not to give up. I held back tears and patted her back. I won't, Mom, I promise. By the time I left the nursing home, it was pitch black. Las Vegas's neon blazed so bright it felt like daytime billboards, flashing wind and luck everywhere. But none of that luck felt like it was for me. I walked down the sidewalk, watching fancy cars zoom by, and thought about what Ethan had said. Asterisk, Las Vegas has no framed, only winners and losers. Asterisk. I bit my lip and turned around. I wasn't giving up. I was going to find out the truth about Dad, and I was going to make Ethan Walker see that he was wrong about Dad, about me, about everything. When I got back to the casino's side door, the bodyguards had changed shifts. The new guys didn't recognize me. I huddled in the shade again, pulled out my Sharpie, and started sketching the security cameras. Dad had taught me that every camera has a blind spot. Halfway through my sketch, I heard footsteps behind me. I looked up and froze. It was Ethan. No bodyguards, just him, wearing a black t-shirt, holding a coffee cup. In the dark, his eyes didn't look as cold, they looked complicated. Aren't you gone yet? He asked, his voice softer than it had been that morning. I folded up my sketch and gripped it tight. None of your business. He didn't get mad. He squatted down next to me and held out the coffee. It's iced, might help with the heat. He paused. I slept on the street once, back when I first moved here. I know how much it sucks. I didn't take the coffee. I just stared at him, suspicious. What do you want? Another chance to make fun of me. He was quiet for a minute. Then he pulled a photo out of his pocket and handed it to me. It was Dad and him, standing in front of the casino, both grinning. Your dad was a good guy, he said. When he died, I felt bad. Bad. I laughed bitterly. If you felt bad, you'd have looked into his case. If you felt bad, you wouldn't let Mom's meds get cut off. His jaw tightened. He set the coffee on the ground between us. I had my reasons, he said. The casino was about to go public. If word got out that the security supervisor's theft was a frame job, the stock would tank. I couldn't risk that, not for hundreds of employees who depended on me. Double quotes. So you just let Dad get dragged through the mud? Let our family fall apart? I raised my voice, tears spilling over. Ethan Walker, you're no better than the guy who framed him. He didn't say anything. He just stared at the Sharpie in my hand. After a minute, he spoke again. You still draw? I blinked, confused by the sudden change of subject. Your dad used to brag about you all the time, he said. Said you had a gift. Look, my art department's short-staffed. They need someone to do sketches for the casino's ads. The pay's $3,000 a month, plus free meals. And I can get your mom on the employee family health plan, covers most of her meds. I stared at him. A job. Why would he offer me a job? Out of guilt. To shut me up about Dad? You don't have to decide now, he said, standing up and brushing dirt off his jeans. Come to the 3rd floor tomorrow at 9. Ask for Sorocius, the art director. He hesitated, then added, the health plan starts immediately. Your mom won't miss any meds. He turned and walked into the casino. I looked at the iced coffee on the ground, then at my sketch. I hated Ethan Walker. I hated his arrogance, his lies, his willingness to sacrifice Dad for his business. But this job was my only chance to save Mom. I picked up the coffee and took a sip. It was cold and sweet, cutting through the heat. I pulled out my Sharpie again and went back to my sketch of the cameras. Whatever Ethan's reasons, I was taking that job. And once I was inside the casino, I was going to find the truth. For Dad, for Mom, for me. The neon lights blazed around me, red, yellow, blue, all blending together. But for the first time in months, I didn't feel lost. I felt like I had a plan. I was going to use my sketchbook, my Sharpie, and everything Dad had taught me. I was going to win. I folded up my sketch, tucked it into my shirt, and started walking back to the nursing home. Tomorrow was a new day, and I was ready for it. I was at the nursing home by 7 a.m., watching the nurse feed Mom breakfast. She was doing better that day. She could hold her spoon on her own, even if her hand still shook. You're going to work today, Mia? She mumbled, her eyes clearer than they'd been in weeks. Worth something nice? Okay. Don't let anyone make fun of you. I squeezed the canvas bag in my lap and nodded, forcing a smile. Inside the bag was my only outfit without hosa, light gray t-shirt and jeans. Dad had bought them for me 3 years ago. They were a little tight now, but I'd washed them until they were almost white. Don't worry, Mom. I'll be fine. I'll come see you after work. The nurse walked me to the door and slipped a small bag of cookies into my hand. Someone dropped off meds for your mom yesterday. Said it's from the casino's employee health plan. They approved it early. She paused. Tall guy, black suit. Didn't give his name. Just said to tell you good luck at work. My throat felt tight. Ethan, was he trying to buy me off? Or was he actually sorry? Either way, Mom was getting her meds. That's all that mattered. The bus ride to the Oasis took 40 minutes. When I got there, the revolving door looked even fancier, up-close gold trim, glass that sparkled in the sun. I stood outside for a minute, nervous, until a hostess spotted me. She'd seen me begging the day before. Her nose had wrinkled like I smelled bad. But today, she smiled. Are you Mia? Here for the art department. Sarah's on the 3rd floor. I nodded and followed her inside. The casino was freezing, AC cranked up to max. I pulled my t-shirt tighter, self-conscious of how worn it was. Rich people walked past me, their heels clicking on the marble floors, eyeing me like I was a mistake. I kept my head down and followed the hostess to the elevator. The art department was on the 3rd floor. Down a hallway lined with huge paintings, all Las Vegas night scenes, neon bright, but they felt fake somehow. Sarah, the art director, was a woman in her 40s with short curly hair and a bright dress. She shook my hand warmly. Ethan's told me a lot about you, she said. Said your sketches are amazing. I sat down across from her, my hand still clutching my canvas bag. Mr. Walker, he just mentioned it in passing. She laughed and pulled a stack of papers out of her desk. The art department does all the casino's ads and decorations. Today, just practice sketch the lobby downstairs. Guests love seeing real people in the art, not just models. She handed me a new sketchbook and a set of pencils. These are yours. If you need more supplies, just ask. My fingers brushed the new pencils, smooth, sharp, nothing like the nubs I usually used. I thought of Dad, buying me that first Sharpie, telling me I'd be a famous artist someday. My throat felt tight. I nodded. Thanks, Sarah. One more thing, she said, walking me to the door. The staff cafeteria's on the second floor, just flash your temp ID, and the food's free. And Mia, she put a hand on my shoulder. Don't pay attention to anyone who gives you a hard time. Around here, talent's worth more than fancy clothes. I smiled and headed downstairs. The lobby was chaos, slot machines, dinging people, laughing, waiters carrying trays of drinks. I found a corner table and pulled out my sketchbook. I started with the chandelier in the center crystal. Huge, sparkling. Then I sketched the people, an old couple playing slots, a group of guys high-fiving after a win, a woman staring at her phone, looking bored. It felt good drawing, like I was back to being me, not just a girl begging on the street. Halfway through my sketch, I heard a voice behind me. Mia, is that really you? I turned around and grinned. It was Lucy, a cleaning lady who'd worked with Dad. She'd come over for dinner a million times. Mom had taught her how to make apple pie. Her hair was grayer than I remembered, but her smile was the same. Lucy, I can't believe you're still here. She pulled me into a hug, then glanced around nervously. Come on, let's talk in the staff hallway, not here. We walked to the back hallway, where the employees kept their lockers. Lucy leaned against the wall and sighed. I've wanted to talk to you for years, but Ethan told everyone not to mention your dad's case. He said it was bad for business. She lowered her voice. But I saw something, Mia. The night your dad was framed, I was working the graveyard shift. I saw Tom, your dad's deputy, sneaking into the vault. I know he did it. My heart dropped. Tom, Dad had mentioned him once, said he was jealous that Dad got the supervisor job. Is Tom still working here? Lucy shook her head. He quit the day after your dad died. Left town, heard he opened a small casino somewhere else. But I have this. She pulled a crumpled piece of paper out of her pocket and handed it to me. It's your dad's schedule. He wasn't even supposed to be working that night. Tom traded shifts with him. I tried to give this to the police, but Ethan stopped me. He said if word got out, the casino would go under. He told me to burn it, but I couldn't. I unfolded the paper. Dad's handwriting, neat and careful, with a note. Asterisk traded shifts with Tom. Don't forget to buy apple pie for Mom. Asterisk tears blurred my eyes. Dad had been so careful, so honest, he'd never steal anything. Lucy, do you know where Tom is now? I asked, gripping the paper so tight my hands shook. She shook her head. No, but Ethan does. He drove Tom to the airport himself, gave him an envelope full of cash. Ethan knew. He'd helped Tom run away. All this time, he'd known Dad was innocent and he'd done nothing. Because of his stupid casino? Because of money. Mia, don't do anything stupid, Lucy said, squeezing my arm. Ethan's powerful. You can't take him on alone. Keep your head down. Keep this job. Save up money for your mom. Then, when you're ready, find the truth. I nodded. She was right. I didn't have proof, not yet. I needed to stay calm, stay in the casino, and find a way to track down Tom. I went back to my sketchbook, but my hands were still shaking. I sketched the staff hallway, focusing on the security cameras. Dad had installed those too. I marked their blind spots, just like he'd taught me. A little while later, I felt someone standing behind me. I turned around, and it was Ethan. No suit, just that black t-shirt, his sleeves rolled up. He was watching my sketch. What are you drawing? He asked, his voice neutral. Nothing, I said, closing the sketchbook. Just the hallway. He nodded. Don't wander around the vault area. Off limits to non-security staff. Was that a warning or a hint? I stared at him. Why did you help Tom leave town? He froze. For a second I thought he'd snap at me, but he just sighed. I told you. The casino was going public. I couldn't risk a scandal, even if it meant letting an innocent man get framed. I asked. He didn't answer. He just turned and walked away. I opened my sketchbook again. Ethan Walker might think he'd won, but he was wrong. I was going to find Tom. I was going to clear Dad's name. And when I did, Ethan was going to regret every single thing he'd done. That night, I visited Mom after work. She was asleep, clutching Lucy's old apple pie recipe. I sat next to her and whispered, I'm getting closer, Mom, I promise. Dad's going to get justice. When I left the nursing home, the neon was bright again. I pulled out my Sharpie and drew a tiny camera on the back of Lucy's scheduled Dad's symbol. A reminder that the truth was out there, and I was going to find it. Chapter 4, Shadows in the Camera Blind Spots. I got to the casino half an hour early the next morning. My canvas bag was stuffed with Lucy's schedule and Dad's old Sharpie. I wanted to check out the security room. Dad had run it for years. Maybe there was something there, something the police had missed. The art department wasn't open yet, so I snuck down the staff hallway. The security room was at the end, a small door with a faded sign. Asterisk security authorized personnel only asterisk. The lock was new, nothing, like the old brass one Dad had shown me once. I was staring at it, trying to figure out if I could pick it. Dad had taught me that. 2. just for fun. When I heard footsteps, I spun around. It was Ethan's assistant, Jake, carrying a stack of files. Mia, what are you doing here? He frowned, his eyes suspicious. He'd been with Ethan the day before, looking at me like I was garbage. Just looking for the bathroom, I said, shoving my hands in my pockets. I got lost. He pointed down the hall. Bathroom's that way. And stay away from the security room, Ethan's orders. Ethan's orders? My stomach dropped. Why would he care if I'm here? Jake didn't answer. He just walked past me and unlocked the security room door. I caught a glimpse inside rows of monitors, all showing different parts of the casino. Dad had spent hours in there, watching those screens. I wondered if any of the monitors had footage from the night he was framed. I went to the art department and sat at my desk, but I couldn't focus. All I could think about was the security room, the monitors, the truth. A little while later, Sarah walked in with a stack of old photos. Mia, the casino's having a vintage night next week. We need sketches of the old casino 10 years ago. Maybe. I found these photos in the archive. Look, there's your dad. She handed me a photo. Dad was standing in front of the security room, holding one of my old sketches, grinning. My throat felt tight. Thanks, Sarah. These are perfect. Actually, she said, if you want more photos, the archive has tons. I can talk to the archivist here, let you look around. The archive. Dad had told me once that the casino kept all old records, there including security footage. This was my chance. Really? That would be great, I said, trying to sound casual. That afternoon, Sarah took me to the archive. It was a small room in the basement, run by an old guy named Ben, with a white beard and glasses. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. Cole's kid. I remember you. You used to draw cats on my desk when you were little. I smiled. Hi, Ben. I'm looking for photos of the casino from around the time my dad was working here. He nodded and pulled out a box. I got you. But hi, you're not just here for photos, are you? He lowered his voice. You're looking into your dad's case. I froze. How did you know? Everyone knew your dad was innocent, Ben said. He was the most honest guy here. Now, I can't give you access to the security footage, Ethan. Lock that up in a special cabinet. Only he has the key. But I can give you this. He pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. It's the security log from the night your dad was framed. The vault camera went down for 10 minutes, 1 a.m. to 1:10 a.m. They said it was a technical glitch. But your dad checked that camera the day before. It was fine. 10 minutes. More than enough time for Tom to sneak into the vault and plant the money. Ben, who reported the glitch. Tom, Ben said. He was the one who found it. Said your dad must have broken it to cover up the theft. I folded up the log and put it in my pocket. Thanks, Ben. You have no idea how much this means. He patted my shoulder. Just be careful, kid. Ethan doesn't want this case reopened. He'll fight you. I nodded and left the archive. I was walking back to the art department when I heard someone call my name. It was Ethan. He was standing at the end of the hallway, holding a file. Mia, what were you doing in the archive? He asked. His voice calm, but his eyes were sharp. Looking for photos for the vintage night sketches, I said, holding up the stack of photos. Sarah said it was okay. Double quotes. He nodded, but he didn't look convinced. Ben, tell you anything? I tensed up. Just that my dad was a good worker. He was quiet for a minute. Then he handed me a folder. These are blueprints of the old security cameras. Might help with your sketches. He paused, and Mia dropped the case. It's over. Your dad's gone. There's nothing you can do. I took the folder. Inside were Dad's old blueprints, his handwriting all over them. Notes about blind spots, maintenance schedules. I looked up at Ethan. He knew he had to know. But why wasn't he helping me? I can't drop it, I said. My dad was innocent. He sighed. Just be careful. That's all I'm asking. He turned and walked away. I opened the folder again. Dad's notes were everywhere. Blind spot by the vault door needs a new camera. Asterisk, asterisk, check vault camera every night, don't trust Tom. Asterisk. Tears stung my eyes. Dad had known Tom was bad news. He'd tried to protect himself, but it hadn't been enough. That night, Jake stopped me outside the casino. He handed me a stack of papers. Ethan asked me to give these to you. More blueprints, he said. He hopes they help. I took the papers. Tell him thanks. Jake nodded. And Mia. Ethan's not a bad guy. He just makes bad choices sometimes. He feels guilty about your dad. He really does. I watched Jake walk away, guilty enough to help, or guilty enough to cover his own butt. I didn't know, but I was going to find out. I went to the nursing home to see Mom. She was awake, looking at old photos. When she saw me, she smiled. Your dad used to bring me blueprints. He'd say, Mia's going to draw these someday. I won't, Mom. I kissed her forehead, I promise. When I left, I sat on the curb outside the nursing home and looked at Dad's blueprints. There, on the vault door blueprint, was a tiny note. Asterisk, Tom hates me. Watch your back. Asterisk. I pulled out my Sharpie and drew a camera next to the note. Dad was still watching out for me, and I was going to make sure his story got told. The neon lights flickered above me. I had a plan. I was going to find Tom. I was going to get the truth. And Ethan Walker was going to help me whether he liked it or not. For the next few days, I spent every free minute studying Dad's blueprints and the security log. Sarah noticed I was stressed and gave me half a day off to find inspiration. I knew exactly where I was going, the flea market on the edge of town. Dad had taken me there once, saying it was full of stories. Maybe it had a story I needed. The flea market was chaos, tables covered in old junk, vendors yelling, kids running around. I wandered around for an hour, looking at old photos and postcards. Then I saw a table with a stack of old casino photos. The vendor was an old man with the white beard, smoking a cigar, looking for anything specific. Miss, he asked. I'm looking for photos of the Oasis Casino from about 3 years ago. My dad worked there, I said. He nodded and pulled out a dusty album. Got plenty. Worked security there for 20 years. Knew your dad, Cole, right? Good guy, shame. What happened to him? My heart raced. You knew him. Yep, we used to grab coffee after shifts. He talked about you all the time, said you were a great artist. He flipped through the album. Here this is him and Tom, the deputy, taken the night before your dad died. I leaned in. The photo was blurry, but I could see Dad and Tom standing in front of the vault. Tom was holding a black bag, smiling weirdly. Do you know where Tom went after he quit? The old man took a puff of his cigar. He left town the next day, moved to Phoenix, I think. Opened a small casino downtown, called it the Lucky Star. Heard it's a dump, though. Always has fights. Phoenix, I had a lead. I bought the album and ran back to the casino. I found Sarah in her office. Sarah, I need 2 days off. I have to go to Phoenix. She frowned. Phoenix. Why? To find Tom. He framed my dad. I need to talk to him. She sighed. Ethan's not going to like this. I don't care what Ethan thinks, I said. Sarah picked up her phone. I'll call him. Wait here. 10 minutes later, Sarah hung up. He's on his way down. Phoenix. Round trip. Leaves tomorrow at 9, he said, handing them to me. I booked a hotel for you. Here's my number, call if you need anything. Tom's not a nice guy. Don't go alone. I stared at him. Why are you helping me? He looked away. Because your dad was my friend, and because I owe you. He paused. The hotel's near the Lucky Star, and there's a bakery downstairs. Your mom used to love their apple pie. Bring her some back. My throat felt tight. He remembered. He actually remembered. Thanks, I said quietly. He nodded. Be safe, Mia. That night I told Mom I was going to Phoenix. She didn't really understand, but she squeezed my hand. Bring back apple pie for me, okay? I will, Mom. The next morning, I got on the plane to Phoenix. I was nervous. What if Tom didn't talk? What if he hurt me? But I thought of Dad, of Mom, and took a deep breath. I was ready. Phoenix was hotter than Las Vegas dry heat that felt like it was burning my skin. The Lucky Star was in Chinatown, a small rundown building with a faded sign. The door was locked, but I could hear yelling inside. I knocked. A guy with a tattoo on his arm opened the door. What do you want? I'm looking for Tom. I'm Cole's daughter. His eyes narrowed. He opened the door and pushed me inside. The casino was a mess. Slot machines covered in dust, beer bottles on the floor. Tom was sitting at the bar, drunk, his hair graying at the temples. When he saw me, he laughed. Cole's kid. What? Come to beg me to clear his name? I'm here to ask you why you framed him, I said, gripping the album. Why you stole the money and let him take the fall. Tom's smile faded. He stood up and threw his beer bottle at the wall. Your dad was a loser. He got the supervisor job that should have been mine. He deserved what he got. Did you trade shifts with him? Did you use the camera blind spot to sneak into the vault? I asked, stepping closer. And why did Ethan help you leave town? Tom grabbed my arm, his grip tight. Don't you dare mention Ethan. He paid me the leave hush money. If he hadn't, I would have told everyone about his little secret. He leaned in, his breath smelling like beer. If you don't leave right now, I'll hurt your mom. I know where she lives. I froze. He wouldn't hurt Mom, would he? Suddenly, the door kicked open. Ethan was standing there, 2 bodyguards behind him. Let go of her, Tom. Tom's face turned white. He let go of my arm and stepped back. Ethan, what are you doing here? I told you to leave her alone, Ethan said, walking over to me and putting his arm around my shoulders. You should have listened. The bodyguards grabbed Tom and pinned him to the wall. Ethan turned to me. Are you okay? I nodded, my arm throbbing where Tom had grabbed me. How did you get here? You didn't answer your phone. I got worried. He paused. Let's go. This place is a dump. We walked outside. Ethan took me to the bakery downstairs and bought a pie. For your mom, he said. We sat on a bench outside the hotel eating pie. The sun was setting, painting the sky pink. Tom said you had a secret, I said quietly. What is it? Ethan sighed. When I first took over the casino, there was a guy cheating at blackjack. I beat him up. Bad Tom filmed it. He used the video to blackmail me. If I didn't help him frame your dad and let him leave town, he would have posted the video online. The casino would have gone under. I stared at him. So you chose your casino over my dad. He looked down. I was stupid. I thought I was protecting the employees, but I was just protecting myself. I'm sorry, Mia. I really am. I didn't know what to say. I was angry, so angry, but I also felt sorry for him. He'd made a terrible choice, but he was trying to fix it. Let's go home, I said. He nodded. We got on the plane back to Las Vegas. On the way, I fell asleep on his shoulder. When I woke up, he was staring at me, a soft look in his eyes. I looked away. My feelings were all mixed up. I hated him for what he'd done, but I also liked him, and that scared me. Chapter 6, The Broken Apple Pie. When we got back to Las Vegas, Ethan took me to the hospital to check my arm. The doctor said it was just a bruise, but Ethan still looked worried. He drove me to the nursing home to see Mom. She was so happy when I gave her the apple pie, she cried. Ethan, you came too, she said, grabbing his hand. Thank you for taking care of Mia. Ethan smiled. It's my pleasure, ma'am. That night, Sarah called me. Mia, I found something. Tom's resignation letter and the check Ethan wrote him. It says hush money in the memo. And there's a meeting note. Tom threatened to expose Ethan if he didn't help frame your dad. I went to the casino to pick up the papers. Sarah handed them to me. Ethan told me to give these to you. He said he wants you to have the truth. I looked at the check, $50,000, the same amount that was stolen from the casino. Tom had blackmailed Ethan into paying him the money he'd stolen. Thanks, Sarah. When I left the art department, I saw Ethan standing in the hallway. Did you get the papers? I nodded. Why didn't you tell me the truth sooner? He leaned against the wall because I was ashamed. I didn't want you to hate me. I do hate you, I said. But I also understand. A little. He looked up, surprised. I don't forgive you, not yet. But I understand why you did it. I paused. But you should have told me. You should have helped me sooner. He nodded. I know, and I'm sorry for everything. We stood there in silence for a minute. Then Ethan's phone rang. It was Jake. Ethan, we have a problem. Tom's nephew is here. He's breaking the slot machines. He says he wants revenge for Tom. Ethan cursed. I'll be right there. He turned to me. Stay here. It's not safe. I'm coming with you, I said. He shook his head. No, I can help. I can sketch his face, get his tattoo. The police will need it. He hesitated, then nodded. Stay behind me. We ran to the lobby. A guy with a tattoo on his arm was swinging a baseball bat at the slot machines. People were screaming. Ethan yelled at the security guards to block the doors. The guy turned around and swung the bat at Ethan. I didn't think. I just ran forward and pushed Ethan out of the way. The bat hit the wall next to me, sending chips flying. Ethan grabbed me and pulled me behind him. Are you okay? He asked, his voice shaking. I'm fine, I said. I pulled out my sketchbook and started drawing the guy, his face, his tattoo, his clothes. The police arrived a few minutes later and arrested him. The officer looked at my sketch. This is perfect. Thanks, miss. Ethan took me to his office. He handed me a glass of water. Why did you do that? You could have gotten hurt. Because you were in danger, I said. And because I don't want anything to happen to you. He looked at me, his eyes soft. Mia, I stood up. I should go. Mom's probably waiting for me. Double quotes. He nodded. I'll drive you. On the way to the nursing home, we didn't talk. But when he dropped me off, he grabbed my hand. Mia, I know I have a lot to make up for, but I want to try. For you, for your dad. I looked at him. Then help me clear Dad's name. Help me get the police to drop the charges. He smiled. I already did. I gave them all the evidence, Tom's confession, the blackmail notes, the check. They're dropping the charges tomorrow, and the casino's going to issue a public apology. Your dad's name will be cleared. Tears filled my eyes. Thank you, he squeezed my hand. It's the least I can do. I got out of the car and walked into the nursing home. Mom was asleep, but she was smiling. I sat next to her and whispered, It's over, Mom. Dad's innocent. We did it. I pulled out my sketchbook and drew a camera and an apple pie dad symbol and Mom's favorite. Tomorrow was a new day. A day when Dad's name was finally cleared. And maybe, just maybe, a day when I could forgive Ethan Walker. The next morning, Ethan called me. The police dropped the charges. The casino's apology is in the paper. Come to my office. I have something for you. I went to the casino. Ethan's office was on the top floor, with huge windows overlooking Las Vegas. He was sitting at his desk holding a folder. Here, he said, handing it to me. Tom's confession. He admitted to stealing the money, framing your dad, and blackmailing me. The police are pressing charges against him. I opened the folder. Tom's handwriting. messy, and shaky. Asterisk, I stole the money. I framed Cole. I blackmailed Ethan. I'm sorry. Tears blurred my eyes. Thank you. He stood up and walked over to me. There's more. I found the money Tom stole. It's been in a bank account under a fake name. I talked to the bank. They're transferring it to you. It's not much, but it's enough to pay for your mom's meds and for you to go back to art school. He handed me a bank card. The pin is your dad's birthday. I looked at him. Ethan, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he said. I just want to make things right. We stood there for a minute. Then I hugged him. It was a quick hug, but it felt good. Thank you, I said again. He hugged me back. I'm sorry, Mia, for everything. That afternoon, I went to the nursing home. I told Mom the news. She didn't fully understand, but she smiled and said, your dad would be so proud of you. I took her to Dad's grave. I put the apology letter from the casino on his headstone. Dad, it's over. You're innocent. I love you. Ethan came with us. He stood behind me, quiet. When we left, he said, I come here sometimes. I bring white roses. I tell him I'm sorry. I looked at him. He'd forgive you. I think he already has. Over the next few weeks, Ethan helped me apply to art school. I got accepted full scholarship. He also helped me find a better nursing home for Mom, closer to the casino. The staff there was amazing, and Mom's hands stopped shaking as much. Ethan and I started spending more time together. He'd take me to dinner, bring me coffee at the art department, walk with me to the nursing home. We didn't talk about the past much. We just enjoyed being together. One night, we were sitting on the casino's rooftop, watching the neon lights. Ethan turned to me. Mia, I know I messed up, big time, but I really like you more than like you. Will you? Give me a chance. I looked at him. His eyes were sincere, full of hope. I thought of Dad, of Mom, of everything we'd been through. Yes, I said. I'll give you a chance. He smiled, big, real. He leaned in and kissed me. It was soft, gentle, like he was afraid I'd push him away. I didn't. I kissed him back. That night, I went home and looked at Dad's old Sharpie. I drew a heart around the camera sketch. Dad had always wanted me to be happy, and for the first time in a long time, I was. The next day, I started art school. Ethan dropped me off. I'll pick you up after class, he said. I smiled. I'll be here. As I walked into the school, I thought about everything: Dad's death, Mom's illness, Ethan's mistakes. It had been a hard road, but I was finally where I belonged. And I had Ethan. Maybe things would be okay after all. Art school was amazing. I loved every minute of it: painting, drawing, sculpting. Ethan would pick me up after class, and we'd go to the nursing home to see Mom. She loved Ethan. She'd make him apple pie every Sunday, and he'd pretend to love it, even though he hated cinnamon. One day, Ethan took me to the casino's rooftop. He'd built a small studio. There were big windows, easels, paint, everything I needed. I know you love painting the neon lights, he said. Now you can do it whenever you want. I looked around. It was perfect, Ethan. This is amazing. Thank you. He hugged me. I just want you to be happy. You deserve it. I started painting every day after school. I painted the neon lights, the desert, Mom's apple pie, Ethan's smile. My art teacher said my paintings had heart, that you could feel the emotion in them. Ethan would sit with me while I painted. He'd tell me stories about his childhood growing up homeless, sleeping in alleyways, working odd jobs to survive. I told him about Dad, about Mom, about how much I missed them. We were honest with each other about our pasts, our fears, our hopes. One day, I finished a painting, a big one, of Dad and Mom, standing in front of the casino, smiling. I hung it in the studio. Ethan looked at it and said, "It's beautiful. You should have an exhibition. Show everyone your art." I laughed. Who would come to my exhibition? Me, Mom, Sarah, Ben, Lucy, everyone who loves you. He paused. And me, I'll be there front and center. So I planned an exhibition. Ethan helped me. He found the gallery near the casino, hung the paintings, invited people. The opening night was nervous, but when I walked in and saw Mom, Ethan, Sarah, Ben, and Lucy all there, smiling, I relaxed. Everyone loved the paintings. A gallery owner even asked to represent me. I couldn't believe it. After the exhibition, Ethan took me to the rooftop studio. He handed me a small box. "I got you something." I opened it. It was a gold Sharpie, with my name engraved on it. "It's just like your dad's, but nicer." I hugged him. "I love it. Thank you." He kissed me. "Mia, I know we've been through a lot, but I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" I stared at him. Tears filled my eyes. Yes, I will." He slipped a ring on my finger, small, with a tiny camera and an apple pie engraved on it. "For your dad and Mom." I kissed him. The neon lights were shining through the windows, casting a warm glow over us. I thought of Dad, of Mom, of everything we'd been through. and I knew this was where I was meant to be. Mom was so excited when we told her we were getting married. She insisted on planning the wedding even though she forgot most of the details 5 minutes later. Ethan just smiled and said, "Whatever your mom wants, she gets." We found a small apartment near the nursing home, with a big balcony where Mom could plant flowers. Ethan helped me move in. He carried all the heavy boxes, even though he had employees who could do it. "I want to do this for you," he said. Mom moved in with us a few weeks later. She loved the apartment, especially the balcony. She planted sunflowers everywhere. "Your dad loved sunflowers," she said they reminded him of me. Double quotes. Ethan would come home from work early every night to help Mom cook dinner. He'd pretend to be bad at chopping vegetables, so Mom would laugh at him. "You're a terrible cook," she'd say, "but you're a good boy." One day, Mom had a good day. She remembered everything. She told us stories about her and Dad's wedding, about how Dad had forgotten the rings and had to run to the jewelry store. She cried when she saw my engagement ring. "It's perfect," she said. "Your dad would love it." Ethan held my hand. I could see tears in his eyes. "I wish he was here," he said. "He is," Mom said. "He's watching over us." That night we sat on the balcony, eating Mom's apple pie. The sun was setting and the neon lights were coming on. Mom was asleep on the couch, holding Dad's old photos. Ethan put his arm around me. "I love you, Mia. I love you too, Ethan." We kissed. It was quiet, peaceful. For the first time in a long time, everything felt right. Our wedding was small, just family and friends. We got married on the casino's rooftop, with the neon lights shining around us. Mom walked me down the aisle, wearing a blue dress, her favorite color. She didn't forget anything that day. She even remembered to give me Dad's old pocket watch. "Something old," she said, smiling. Ethan looked amazing in his suit. When he saw me, he cried. "You're beautiful," he said. The ceremony was short. The pastor asked Ethan if he'd love me forever. He said, "I will, and I'll love Mia's mom like she's my own. I'll make up for the mistakes I made. I'll be the man she deserves." When it was my turn, I said, "I will. I'll love him even when he's grumpy, even when he works too much. I'll love him forever." We kissed. Everyone cheered. Mom cried. Sarah took photos. It was perfect. After the wedding, we had a small reception. Mom danced with Ethan slow because her legs hurt. He held her carefully, like she was fragile. "Thank you for taking care of my Mia," she said. "I'll always take care of her," he said. That night, Ethan and I went to the desert. We laid on a blanket and watched the stars. "I never thought I'd be happy again," I said. "After Dad died, I thought my life was over." That held me. "I never thought I'd find someone who could forgive me, someone who could make me a better man." He kissed me. "I'm so glad I found you." We stayed there until midnight. When we got home, Mom was asleep on the couch, holding our wedding photo. Ethan carried her to bed. I stood in the doorway, watching him. He was gentle, kind, everything I'd ever wanted. The next day, Ethan started a foundation, the Cole Foundation, named after Dad. It helps people who've been wrongfully accused, and it pays for Parkinson's research. "Your dad would have loved this," he said. I smiled. He would have. Over the next few months, the foundation helped dozens of people. I kept painting. My art was in galleries all over Las Vegas. Mom's health got better. She even started painting with me sometimes. One day we went to Dad's grave. I put a sunflower on his headstone. "Dad, we're happy. Mom's happy. The foundation's helping people. You'd be so proud." Ethan put his arm around me. "He is proud. I know it." We stood there for a minute. Then Mom said, "Let's go get ice cream. Your dad loved ice cream." We laughed and walked to the car. The neon lights were shining, and the sun was setting. I held Ethan's hand, and Mom held my other hand. For the first time in a long time, I felt complete. I had Mom, I had Ethan, I had my art, I had the foundation. I had everything I'd ever wanted. And I knew Dad was watching and he was smiling. After we got engaged, Ethan became obsessed with wedding planning. He'd come home from work with stacks of magazines asking me, chapel or rooftop, white flowers or sunflowers, cake or pie. I'd just laugh and say, "Whatever makes you happy." But he'd shake his head. "No, this is your wedding." I want it to be perfect. One night he came home with a wedding dress catalog. He flipped to a page and pointed. The dress was simple white, with sunflowers embroidered on the skirt and a small silver camera on the neckline. "It's perfect," he said. "Sunflowers for your mom, camera for your dad." I teared up. It is perfect. When we went to try on the dress, Mom came with us. She looked at me in the dress and cried. "You look like an angel," she said. "Your dad would have loved this dress." Ethan held her hand. I had the designer add something. "Look at the hem." I lifted the dress. There, embroidered in small letters, was Cole's safe spot, Dad's nickname for me when I was little. I hugged Ethan. "Thank you. It's everything I could have wanted." Mom insisted on picking out my something old. She rummaged through her closet and pulled out a pearl necklace, Dad's first gift to her. Wear this, she said, so your dad can walk down the aisle with you. Ethan also found Dad's old employee badge with his photo on it. Pin this to your dress, he said, so he's there with you. The night before the wedding, I sat on the balcony, looking at the dress. Ethan came out and sat next to me, nervous. He asked, a little. I said, what if Mom forgets tomorrow? What if something goes wrong? He put his arm around me. Even if she forgets, she'll be happy. And nothing can go wrong because we're together. He kissed me. I love you, Mia, more than anything. The week before the wedding, I was in the studio, organizing my paintings for the reception, when someone knocked. I opened the door and froze. It was a guy with a tattoo on his arm, just like Tom's. You're Mia, he asked. I nodded, backing up. Who are you? Tom's brother. He sent me. Tell Ethan to drop the charges against him otherwise. Your mom gets hurt. Anger flared up in me. Tom's in jail because he's guilty. Leave my mom alone. He stepped forward, grabbing my arm. You think Ethan can protect you? He's just a rich guy who doesn't care about anyone but himself. Suddenly, Lucy appeared behind him, holding a broom. Let go of her, or I'll hit you with this. The guy let go of me and turned around. Who are you? Someone who's sick of bullies, Lucy said. She swung the broom at him, and he ran. I collapsed onto the couch, shaking. Lucy sat next to me. Are you okay, Mia? I nodded. Thanks, Lucy. You saved me. She patted my hand. Your dad was my friend. I'll always look out for you. Ethan showed up 10 minutes later. He'd gotten a call from the security guard. He hugged me tight. Are you hurt? Did he do anything to you? I'm fine. Lucy scared him off. I looked up at him. He said he'd hurt Mom. Ethan's jaw tightened. He won't. I'll put security outside the apartment and the nursing home. And I'll talk to the police if he comes near you or Mom. He's going to jail. That night, Ethan stayed with me and Mom. Mom didn't know what was going on, but she held my hand. Don't worry, Mia. I'll protect you. I smiled. I know you will, Mom. The next day, the guy was arrested. He'd tried to break into the nursing home. Ethan came to tell me the news. He's in jail. He won't bother us again. I hugged him. Thank you for everything. He kissed me. I told you I'll always protect you. The wedding day was perfect. The sun was shining and the neon lights were already flickering, even though it was early. Mom woke up early, excited. She helped me get dressed, fixing my hair and adjusting the necklace. Your dad would be so proud, she said. Ethan was waiting for us on the rooftop. When he saw me, he stopped. You're beautiful, he said, tears in his eyes. Mom walked me down the aisle. She didn't forget a thing. She even waved at Sarah and Lucy. When we got to Ethan, she handed me to him. Take care of her, she said. I will, he said. The ceremony was short. The pastor talked about love, about forgiveness, about second chances. When he asked us to say our vows, Ethan went first. Mia, I was a mess before I met you. I made terrible choices. But you showed me how to be a better man. I promise to love you forever. I promise to take care of you and your mom. I promise to never stop making up for my mistakes. I love you. I cried when it was my turn. Ethan, I hated you when we first met, but you showed me that people can change. You showed me that love can heal. I promise to love you forever. I promise to be there for you, even when things are hard. I love you. We kissed. Everyone cheered. Mom cried so hard, Sarah had to hand her a tissue. After the ceremony, we took photos. Mom insisted on taking a photo with Ethan and me, holding Dad's photos. Now we're all together, she said. The reception was small, just family and friends. We had cake and apple pie, Mom's request. Ethan danced with Mom, and I danced with Ben. Lucy told stories about Dad, and Sarah showed everyone my paintings. At the end of the night, Ethan took me to the rooftop. He pulled out a small box. I have one more gift for you. He opened. It was a key. It's to the studio. It's yours forever. I hugged him. Thank you. This is the best day of my life. He kissed me. No, every day with you is the best day of my life. Married life was quiet and happy. Ethan still worked long hours at the casino, but he always came home for dinner. Mom would cook mostly apple pie and pasta, and Ethan would pretend to be a terrible cook just to make her laugh. On weekends, we'd take Mom to the desert to see the sunflowers. She'd walk slowly, holding Ethan's hand, and tell us stories about Dad. He used to bring me here every Sunday, she said. We'd pack a picnic and stay all day. I kept painting. My art was selling well enough to pay for Mom's meds and our apartment. Ethan built me a bigger studio in the casino with floor-to-ceiling windows. Now you can paint the neon whenever you want, he said. One day, Mom decided she wanted to learn how to paint. Ethan bought her a set of paints and a canvas. She sat in the studio with me, painting sunflowers. They're not as good as yours, she said. Hair, perfect, I said. Dad would love them. Mom smiled. I know he would. Ethan would often come home early and sit with us, watching us paint. He'd bring coffee and cookies, and we'd talk about our day. It was simple, but it was perfect. Sometimes, Mom would forget things like my name, or that we were married. But she never forgot Ethan. He's a good boy, she'd say, just like your dad. Ethan would always smile. Thank you, ma'am. One night, we were sitting on the balcony, watching the neon lights. Mom was asleep on the couch. Ethan put his arm around me. I never thought I'd have this, he said. A family, a home, you. I leaned my head on his shoulder. I never thought I'd have this either, but I'm glad I do. We kissed. The neon lights were bright, and the stars were shining. Everything was perfect. 6 months after we got married, the foundation helped its 100th family. We had a small celebration at the casino. The family and old man who'd been wrongfully accused of theft cried when he thanked us. You gave me my life back, he said. Mom was there, wearing a blue dress. She stood up and spoke. My husband was wrongfully accused. He died before he could clear his name. But Ethan and Mia made it right. This foundation is his legacy. Thank you for keeping his memory alive. Everyone cheered. Ethan held my hand. Your mom is amazing, he said. I know, I said. After the celebration, we went to Dad's grave. We put a sunflower on his headstone. Dad, we helped 100 families, I said. You'd be so proud. Ethan knelt down. Thank you for giving me Mia. Thank you for forgiving me. I'll keep making you proud. We walked back to the car. Mom was holding my hand, humming a song. Your dad used to sing that song, she said. He sang it to me on our wedding day. I smiled, I remember. On the way home, we passed the casino's side door, the same spot where Ethan had yelled at me, where I'd begged for money. Now, it was a small flower shop, selling sunflowers and white roses. Look, I said, they're selling Dad's favorite flowers. Ethan parked the car. We went into the shop and bought a bouquet of sunflowers. The owner smiled. You're Ethan and Mia, right? The foundation people. You're doing good work. Thank you, we said. When we got home, we put the sunflowers in a vase on the table. Mom smiled. They're beautiful. Ethan put his arm around me. Just like you, just like our life. I kissed him. The neon lights were shining through the window, and Mom was humming. Everything was perfect. I pulled out my Sharpie Dad's old one and drew a camera and a sunflower on a piece of paper. I taped it to the fridge. It was our symbol of family, hope, and I knew Dad was watching, and he was smiling. 8 months after we got married, Mom had a good day. I was in the studio painting sunflowers. When she walked in, she pointed at the painting. Your dad used to take me to the Mojave Desert to see sunflowers. He said they grew all the way to the sky. I dropped my brush. Mom, you remember? She nodded. She sat down next to me and touched the painting. We'd pack apple pie in tin foil. It was hot, so the pie would get sandy. He'd laugh and say, that's the desert's flavor. Ethan walked in just then. He froze when he heard Mom talking. He quietly left the room and came back 10 minutes later, holding a plate of apple pie still in tin foil, with a sprinkle of sugar that looked like sand. I asked Lucy for the recipe. He said, is this how your dad made it? Mom took a bite. She smiled big and bright. Yes, exactly like that. He was so silly, sprinkling sugar on it like sand. We sat on the balcony that afternoon, eating apple pie and listening to Mom talk. She told us about her first date with Dad at the casino's staff cafeteria. She told us about the first time Dad saw me draw, he cried. She told us about their wedding. Dad forgot the rings and had to run to the jewelry store. Ethan wrote everything down. I want to make a book for you, he said. A book of Mom's stories, so we never forget. That night, Mom fell asleep on the couch, holding Dad's old photo. Ethan carried her to bed. I stood in the doorway, watching him. He was gentle, kind, everything I'd ever wanted. I knew Mom's good days might not last, but that day we had each other. We had Mom's stories. We had Dad's memory, and that was enough. The foundation's first anniversary rolled around. We had a small party at the casino. The 100th family was their young couple with a 2-year-old. The husband had been framed for stealing from his factory. We'd helped clear his name and get him a new job. The wife held her baby and cried. Before you, we were living on the street. Our baby was sick. You gave us our home back. Thank you. Mom was sitting in the front row, wearing her blue dress. She stood up and spoke. My husband was a security guard. He always said, protect the people who need protecting. That's what this foundation does. It's his legacy. And it's yours too. Everyone cheered. Ethan held my hand. Your mom is amazing, he said. I know, I said. After the party, the 2-year-old ran up to me. She was holding a crayon, drawing on a piece of paper. It was a sunflower wobbly, but perfect. For you, she said. I knelt down. That's beautiful. Do you want to learn how to draw a camera? It's my dad's symbol. She nodded. I took her crayon and drew a small camera next to the sunflower. See, now it's our symbol of love and protection. Her mom smiled. Thank you. You're giving her hope. Ethan stood behind me, watching. He put his hand on my shoulder. You're giving everyone hope, Mia, just like your dad. That fall, we took Mom to the Mojave Desert to see the sunflowers she'd talked about. Ethan rented an SUV and packed a cooler with apple pie, water, and Mom's meds. He even brought my sketchbook. The desert was beautiful golden sunflowers stretching as far as the eye could see. Mom walked slowly, holding Ethan's hand. She stopped and touched a sunflower. Your dad proposed to me here, she said. He got down on one knee and said, I'll take you to see sunflowers every year until we can't walk anymore. Ethan and I looked at each other. Tears filled our eyes. Ethan knelt down in front of Mom and pulled out a small box. Inside was a silver ring, just like the one Dad had given her. I can't take your dad's place, he said, but I promise to take you to see sunflowers every year. For the rest of your life, Mom cried. She put the ring on her finger. Thank you, she said. You're a good boy. We stayed in the desert until sunset. I sketched Mom and Ethan, standing in the sunflowers. Ethan took photos of Mom, laughing as she picked a sunflower. It was perfect. On the way home, Mom fell asleep on my shoulder, holding her sunflower. Ethan drove slowly, humming a song. I looked out the window at the desert, now dark, with the stars coming out. I thought of Dad, of Mom, of Ethan. I thought of the day I'd met Ethan begging outside the casino, hating him. Now, here we were happy, together, a family. Life was full of surprises, bad ones, good ones. But as long as we had each other, we could get through anything. That winter, Mom got sick pneumonia. The doctor said it was mild, but she had to stay in the hospital. Ethan canceled all his meetings and stayed with her every day. He'd read to her, feed her, even try to comb her hair badly, but she laughed. I brought my sketchbook to the hospital every day. I drew Mom sleeping, Ethan holding her hand, the sunflowers outside the window. Mom would wake up and watch me draw. Make sure you draw Ethan's scar, she said. It makes him look tough. Ethan would smile. Thanks, ma'am. One morning, Mom woke up and looked at my sketchbook. She pointed at a drawing of our family, me, Ethan, her, and Dad, drawn from a photo. You should have a baby, she said, a little one to love. A little one to carry on your dad's name. Ethan and I looked at each other. We'd talked about having kids, but we'd wanted to wait until Mom was better. But now, looking at Mom's face, full of hope, I knew it was time. Ethan took my hand. What do you think, Mia? Ready to be a mom? I smiled. Yes, I'm ready. Mom smiled. Good, I'll be the best grandma ever. 10 days later, Mom was discharged from the hospital. Ethan, by the next spring, our son was born. I named him Cole after Dad. I wanted him to know he had a grandfather who was brave, honest, and kind. On Cole's 1-month birthday, nearly everyone we cared about came to celebrate. Sarah brought a cake she'd baked herself, topped with tiny sunflowers. Ben gave Cole an old photo album filled with pictures of Dad when he was young. Lucy knit him a sweater with a sunflower, pattern stitched on the chest. Mom held Cole in her arms the entire time, beaming. Cole, she whispered, brushing his tiny cheek. Your grandpa was a good man. He'd have loved you so much. By the time Cole turned 1, he was already wielding a tiny Sharpie, scribbling on any piece of paper he could find. His favorite things to draw, lopsided cameras and wobbly sunflowers, Grandpa's mark, as I'd taken to calling it. One weekend, Ethan took Cole to visit Dad's grave. Cole clutched a crumpled drawing in his little hand and held it up to the headstone. Grandpa, he babbled. Look, I drew your camera. Ethan knelt down beside him, his voice soft. Old Cole, this is your grandson, Cole. He's just like you, brave, curious, and already knows how to make people smile. He draws your mark, just like Mia does. We're all doing okay. You don't have to worry about us. 2 years later, the foundation had helped over 500 families. I held another art exhibition, this time themed legacy. The walls were covered with my paintings, Cole's, scribbles, and even the old blueprints Dad had drawn for the casino's security cameras. The last wall featured a photo of our little family of 4, me holding Cole, Ethan with his arm around Mom, and the Las Vegas neon glowing behind us, paired with a field of sunflowers. That night, the 4 of us sat on the rooftop terrace of the casino, the same spot where Ethan had first kissed me. Cole was curled up in Ethan's lap, doodling on a piece of paper with his tiny Sharpie. Mom leaned against me, watching the neon lights blink on and off. Your dad would have loved this, she said quietly. All of it. Ethan squeezed my hand and nodded toward the street below. See that flower shop down there? The one where you used to beg? Now it sells sunflowers and white roses, Dad's favorites. And the vault where he was framed. We turned it into a little museum, with his photo and his old security badge. People come by all the time to hear his story. I looked down at Cole's drawing. He'd sketched our shadows on the paper, with a tiny camera and a sunflower right in the middle, exactly where our family stood. Tears pricked my eyes, but I smiled. I finally understood what rags and diamonds really meant. The rags were the hard days, begging on the street, watching Mom forget who I was, wondering if Dad would ever get justice. The diamonds were the things that mattered: love, family, second chances, and the courage to keep going, even when things felt impossible. Dad's integrity, Mom's warmth, Ethan's willingness to make amends, Cole's laughter, those were my diamonds. Cole held up his drawing, grinning. "Mommy, look, it's us." And Grandpa's mark. I picked him up, hugging him tight. Ethan wrapped his arm around both of us, and Mom rested her head on my shoulder. The neon lights of Las Vegas blazed around us, but they didn't feel harsh anymore. They felt like a celebration. A celebration of how far we'd come, of the family we'd built, of the love that had turned our broken pieces into something whole. And somewhere, I knew Dad was watching, smiling, proud, and finally at peace. The end.